Hi, I'm Jody Fisher. I'm here at LA Music Academy, and I'm here with another quick tip. A lot of guitar players are really intrigued when they hear a guitar player comp with chords and a walking bass line at the same time. So I'm going to show you a few ideas to get you started with this. It's a very involved technique and actually takes quite a few years to master, but you can probably do pretty well just this afternoon if you work on what I show you now. The first thing you need to comp chords while walking a bass line are chords. So you want to find small triads on the bass strings of your guitar. So for right now in this lesson, we're going to stick with string set 6, 4, and 3. The 6th string, the 4th string, and the 3rd string. And we'll play in A minor. So I'm going to start with this little A minor chord. It's an A minor 7th. And then I'm going to look for this one and find this voicing. The next one up the fingerboard is here, and the last one will be here. Now when you analyze this, you'll find that this first chord has the flat 7 on the bottom, this one has the root on the bottom, this chord has the flat 3rd on the bottom, then the 5th on the bottom. So first you need to memorize those. After you've done that, now you start thinking about, well, how does a bass player think? Well, what they do, they spend a lot of time connecting chord tones. So one way to connect the chord tone is via scales. Well, we have a bunch of A minor chords here, so it makes sense that some sort of A minor scale might work. So let's start with an A natural minor scale. That's simply the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and back to A. So let's find those on the 6th string. So on the 6th string, starting with E, we're going to play an A minor scale. So it goes E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. Now you've noticed probably that I used my second finger for each of those notes. That's because each of the chords you're about to play have your second finger on that same string. So now we're going to play that scale, but every time we come to a note that has one of those chords attached to it, we're going to play the chord as well as the note. So it'll look like this. Down. Okay, now the only problem is just a scale by itself with these chords doesn't sound very good. So we're going to hippify it a little bit. Another approach that bass players use is approaching their chord tones from a half step below. This works very well, and it works well regardless of key or context. So now what we're going to do is approach this chord from a G flat. A flat to A, B to C, E flat to E, and back down. Okay, now it's time to put this to time. So the first approach we'll take is playing the notes and the chords at the same time. So what we're going to do is come in on on 4 of the previous measure. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now if we groove it a little bit. Okay, when you can do that, it's time to add a little syncopation. So now what we're going to do is play the bass note just ahead of the chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is one way of syncopating. You can also play the chord slightly ahead of the bass note. This means starting with the chord on the and of 4 from the previous measure. So this will sound different. This is a little trickier. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the reason people like walking bass lines so much is because of its unpredictability. You never really know where the bass player is going to go. So if you were to combine many different approaches, maybe a half step below, half step above sometimes, whole steps above and below using scales, and using these three approaches with the right hand, striking the chord and the note together, and then anticipating the chord or the note, and mix them up randomly, you can really simulate the sound of a walking bass. So there's a handful of ideas for you. It should take a little bit of time to perfect this. Your next step, of course, would be to translate this to all 12 keys. Transpose everything you do. And then when you're done with that, you go on to dominant shapes and then major shapes. And then you're going to have to come see me to get the rest.